there has been a lot of changes during the mining period and also after the mining ceased in the 90s or in the 80s, yeah, after the tin price dropped, yeah. So when the tin mines left behind, the water table has been disturbed, sort of, and a lot of the passages can be submerged. So because of that, we may not be able to observe what's in the submerged passages. And if I go back to geological time, thousands of years ago, a lot of these caves are actually dry, yeah, and they can be decorated with formations like stalagmites, stalactites, and also they can be dwellings for prehistoric humans, all right? And due to climate change, we have rising of sea level about 120,000 years ago that eventually submerged these caves. So these are two conditions that actually is detrimental to the caves environment. And at this period, I'm really grateful for drivers that are capable of helping me to explore the submerged passages. This is part of the research that I hope I can continue doing.
You know, there was an interesting point that in a conversation that we had with Dr. Rose. I'll break it down directly into a layman term. We put divers into the water, into the cave. They need a guideline. They need to tie the guideline off. When they're trying to tie the guideline, they've got to make sure that where the guideline is tied off, because there's a change in direction, there's a change in depth, it's got to be secure. So if we don't understand the characteristics of what we are exploring inside, that guideline is not going to be secure. So the information flow here goes both ways. You know, when we dive in a place, not for the fun of it, but with a reason behind to help conserve, we need to lay a guideline, it needs to be secured. And then when we come out from that dive, we find that we couldn't tie these guidelines off secured. That information, if we can get it back to the researchers, to the academicians, you know, is going to help them understand better and make us understand better what we are exploring beforehand. So it's a continuous process, not just picking up cave diving skills, but more so understand the technicality, the history, the geological aspects of the caves in Peninsular Malaysia, you know, right? Would that be the point that Doctor was making?
Your experience underground can help me to figure out actually the origin or the formation or the, you know, how the caves are formed actually, and the history of the caves. Based on your techniques or your difficulty or your, you know.
Thank you, Doctor. I'm actually only the cave guy who pulls the tanks into the cave, right? The key guys who actually dive and put their life on the line, are seated in front here and also seated here. You know, I'm going to now, you know, pass over the mic to Eric. Eric has actually been able to dive a lot of the places in basically zero visibility conditions, you know. So he'll be able to tell you a lot about how he ties off or does he not tie off at all, right? Eric. Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. Okay, so if cave diving exploration in Malaysia, Peninsular Malaysia, actually we do few places, mostly in Perak State. So they're a little bit different from cave diving we see on the social media. So normally in social media you see it's a huge cave, mineral water, you take the nice photo, whatever you post is very nice photo. But in our MCDN do the exploration trip in Perak, I can say 90% the natural cave is zero risk. Even you put your dive computer in front of your mask, you cannot see the numbers. You only can see a little bit light. It's totally zero risk. Because the Vision Cave, since long time ago, that all the sentiment is stick on the wall. We using the open circuit. When we blow up the bubble, when we breathe out the bubble, then all the sediment will drop. So if you station the pace maybe 5 to 10 seconds, you become zero waste. So it's a very multitasking job maybe to entry the exploration works. And some cave we cannot, like you drive the truck and load all the gear and just walk to the dive site. Maybe we need to hiking, we need to go into the gua and carry all the equipment, and maybe you need to crawl yourself until the spot, then we can ready for go in the dive. So when you go in the dive, maybe the dive just 5 minutes. When you go in to search everything, there's just a hole. Just a sink hole. Nothing passage, nothing. So maybe you spend 2 to 3 hours to going in the cave, and you spend 5 minutes inside the water. Then you have to spend another 2 to 3 hours to come out. This is what the exploration always do. But have another issue is transport, the entry, and the other one is the zero waste. 90% is a zero visibility. So what we can do is when you pass through some place is clear water, then you have to check a lot of things. Your depth, your air, your level, everything you have to concentrate on it. If not, maybe you are not able to coming back because your air is not enough. Maybe you're over your depth, everything. So it's quite a multitasking job at the exploration one. So, but for sure in Malaysia, in Pahang State, we still find that another, from some explorer before, they find a mine in Pahang State. It's very clear water actually, and the water is cold. It's around 20 Celsius. So that one is water is cold. But same thing, if you pass by, then will become a zero visibility. So what I can say is, cave exploration in Malaysia, you need a strong mindset to maybe the physical also, you need to control everything to prevent any happen, yeah.
I think, in short, you will need to also self-educate yourself, not only in cave diving competency, but you'll probably have to also become a caver at the end of it. It goes both ways. If you were cave diving and you get into the peninsular caves, you've got to understand the caving aspects of it as well. And if you were caving, then you become a cave diver, it helps. It complements one another, right? It's a journey, and I just like to share some information that I am privy to. This journey has been going on for 8 years, and it's been going on a dedicated basis for 8 years. It requires a lot of passion. It requires a lot of continuous education, both in the area of caving and in the area of cave diving. There's no glory, and in short, it's also not an egoistic thing, right? They continue to push the boundaries, explore the unexplored, right? I was going to keep this phrase for the last, but I like to stress it here. The only thing certain about the karst world is uncertainty so far, right? Okay, now, thank you, Eric. And now, I'm going to introduce you to Elise. Well, Elise is also another interesting character. She's not suicidal, right? But she's going to talk about her experiences, She's not been a diver for very long, but she has progressed in a very organized and systematic manner. And she's part of the exploration team in exploring some of these sites, yeah?
Thank you, Shiraj, for the very interesting introduction. Yeah, I started diving in 2018. So it's just literally about 5 years. And I have joined MCDA since last year in the exploration. So I think my experience for cave diving is actually, I can conclude that it's very different from open water diving, in the sense of when you go and learn cave diving, it's like you becoming an open water diver again. Everything you have to relearn. And you are expected to have a good buoyancy, something that you are expected to have, you must have before you go for the course. So the cave diving part is very different from open water diving in terms of you have to have a different things for cave diving: logistic, mindset, skill, and also how to say, mental reboot. Okay, because you see, the logistic is very different from our normal open water diving. It's not like when you go to a dive site, you straight away jump into the water and you expect somebody carry the gears for you. In exploration, we actually need to carry the gears all by ourselves, and sometimes it can weigh more than our own weight. Like for me, I'm literally just like 50 kilo, and sometimes the weight that we carry is really a lot, and we do require some manpower for that. And it's not only the weight itself, but the distance to go into the entrance of the cave or the mine that we are going to explore is actually sometimes is quite long. So that itself already gonna exhaust you physically before you even start the diving. So I think this is very, very different from open water diving. And also your skill, I think I mentioned already, is very different from open water. You have to be able to save yourself out in case there's any accident happen, because you definitely don't want to die inside there. I still got my family to see, so I don't want to die inside there. I definitely will come out alive. I will make sure I come out alive. So there are a lot of protocols that you need to revise, relearn, and you make sure you adhere strictly to it. Actually, if you want to say, cave diving is, there are really a lot of protocols that you need to follow. It's even, I think it's somehow even safer than open water, because in open water diving, there are actually a lot of people do not follow their protocols or rules. But in cave diving, we have to, or else you're just gonna end up like a body inside the cave, maybe not found by anyone else. So in terms of conservation, I think after I become a caveman and cave diving, I actually found that Malaysia is a very blessed country with a lot of natural resources. In Kinta Valley, to an example, it's actually we are very rich with this limestone. But unfortunately, I also realized that human activity has damaged and destroyed a big part of it, such as mining, quarrying. And after I become caveman, I start to realize and read a lot about this cave. I start to realize that how much have we done the damage to the environment. So I think for conservation part, right, for like what Dr. Rose have mentioned, a lot of people actually couldn't access those flooded area, like flooded cave, flooded mines. So we have the privilege of assessing this part of area. So when we have the information from there, we can bring it to the authorities for them to proceed with the conservation effort. So I think this is very important and also to try to preserve the sites with the historical value. So I think, yeah, that's all from me.
Yeah. I see it, right. Thank you, Elise. You know, just to add on, a lot of the effort that goes in to create awareness in these areas that sometimes exploring becomes a big challenge helps us extract a lot of historical information. There are some pioneer members who are not on stage here today. I'm just going to mention their names, right? Not as a form of recognition, but they have done a fair bit of work. One is Mr. Lee Kian Lee, and then Debbie, and they have continued, and they have started this in the earlier part. We will try to get more people into this conservation effort, and you will have to pick up caving skills. You can come on board into MCDA, and you can work as a team, but with one ultimate target: creating awareness for conservation at the end of the day. And in the process, hopefully down the line, there is this clear water site that will enable us to see, like in a lot of other places that we see. Yeah? Okay. We've still got a lot of time, so I'm going to ask some more difficult questions, right, later. But I'm going to introduce now Tuan Juyana. Tuan Juyana was a surprise speaker that we had included, and he's from the Fire and Rescue Department of Malaysia, known as BOMBA. And interesting for your information that MCDA is actually a volunteer fire and rescue attachment to BOMBA, activities that are approved by BOMBA. In short, BOMBA might, if they feel they need MCDA's expertise within the capability of what MCDA can do, then they will consult MCDA for certain things. Right? MCDA does not carry all the expertise, but relevant to what they have been done. Now, with due respect, Tuan Juliana will explain the role and support of bomber in exploration in Malaysia, right? But I would like to apologize that this will be in Bahasa Malaysia, right? Okay, Tuan Juliana, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Terima kasih pada moderator dan Prof. Di sini dengar. Okay. Terima kasih moderator dan Prof dan sebagainya, kawan dan juga audiens di hadapan saya. Sebetulnya Jabatan Bomber telah mengiktiraf penyelam gua ni, di mana telah berdaftar dengan Persatuan Bomber Sukarela Penyelam Gua. Kerana dalam jabatan sendiri kita memperlihatkan ke arah kemajuan yang ke hadapan, yang in case akan berlaku suatu kes yang tidak dijangka, seperti mana di Thailand yang pernah berlaku, dan di Malaysia kita adalah jurung kali yang telah diwujudkan sekarang ini, penyelam gua. Dan satu pendekatan yang baik di mana kita gabungkan ataupun keperluan pakar-pakar yang ada dan juga hobi boleh dikatakan yang akan sentiasa berkembang. Kalau ditanyakan dalam jabatan bomber di sendiri, memang pada personali saya tidak perlu benda-benda yang berbahaya. Tapi kerana permintaan dan hobi yang akan berterusan, yang tidak boleh disekat ataupun yang tidak dihalang oleh sesuatu semana-mana pihak. Jadi adalah satu pendekatan kita bukan satu menyokong ataupun bersedia untuk menyelamat in case yang akan berlaku. Jadi dengan pendekatan yang baik, kita memberi support ataupun sokongan kepada penyelam gua ini untuk berdaftar dengan Persatuan Bomber Sukarela, supaya setiap kegiatan yang akan dilakukan ini akan diawasi dan juga dalam jabatan sendiri memperlihatkan ilmu yang terbaru yang akan dialami nanti kalau in case berlaku suatu operasi. Di jabatan kita dan juga penyelam gua dan juga penyelam scuba sport divers ni adalah dua kaedah yang berbeza. Bagi pihak Jabatan Bomber adalah melihat dari segi keselamatan yang untuk menyelamatkan mangsa, dan juga di sebelah pihak sport diver dan juga ini adalah untuk merealisasikan hobi ataupun pencinta alam dan sebagainya. Ini adalah benda yang berbeza. Tapi setelah melihat keseluruhannya, tekanan yang diberikan adalah dari segi keselamatan. Keselamatan yang tinggi penting dibuat ataupun membuat persiapan yang baik. Kerana dalam apa yang saya faham dalam scuba diving ni adalah kelemahan pada penyelam itu sendiri yang membuatkan risiko yang tinggi. Dalam peralatan, kepada peralatan yang kita pakai dan sebagainya adalah risiko peratusan yang rendah. Jadi saya di sini mengambil kesempatan untuk diver dan juga penyelam yang sentiasa beraksi ataupun minat dengan yang menyeluruh ini, janganlah merasakan diri ini satu kebanggaan ataupun merasakan ego, dan juga merasakan hobi ini adalah experience yang kita buat satu benda yang kita rasa kita hebat, sebab kita berada di alam lain. Kita berada di alam yang bukan pada atmosfera biasa yang kita boleh bernafas macam biasa. Sama juga yang berada di atas dan juga berada di bawah. Itu yang saya harapkan. Jadi dalam jabatan bomber perlu dinasihatkan adalah setiap aktiviti, tak kira apa-apa aktiviti sekalipun, perlu mengikut garis panduan yang baik. Salah satu faktor adalah buat report polis, buat pemakluman pada pihak polis untuk masuk kawasan dan sebagainya. Yang kedua, memohon tempat-tempat yang perlu dimasuki, sama ada hiking ataupun gua dan sebagainya, dengan satu garis panduan yang memberi maklumat yang tepat. Berapa orang yang masuk, jam berapa nak masuk, jam berapa nak keluar, siapa yang membawa masuk dan sebagainya. Supaya persiapan untuk penyelamat ataupun in case berlaku sesuatu kes, kita dapat mengatasi dengan cepat dan mudah serta selamat. Itu saja yang saya.
Terima kasih, Tuan Juliana. Well, in summary, just allow me to elaborate a bit what Tuan Juliana said was that, in summary, Bomba says, the Fire and Rescue Department of Malaysia says that whatever activity that we are performing externally in the environment, right, is to basically keep our ego at bay, right? Now, we are not from the water world. There are SOPs and procedures to be followed, right? Continuous education is an important thing. Informing the relevant authorities about what we are pursuing and what we are doing is mandatory, and it's important. In event that there are any untoward incidents, rescue, right, will be able to be activated as fast as possible, right? So, in summary, things that MCDA has pursued in the name of creating awareness, right, for conservation purposes, has and is being sanctioned by Bomba. But that does not mean we have to rest on our laurels. We have to continue to maintain those tight standards. We have to continue to keep ourselves aware about the changing environment. Yeah. Now, I like to ask difficult question to Dr. Rose, right? Dr. Rose has specific knowledge about the features of the caves in the Kinta Valley, or mainly in the peninsula. Why have I said Kinta Valley? Because in Kinta Valley is where a lot of the exploration work is currently ongoing, right? Maybe Dr. Rose could, give us a bit of short caving and cast lecture that a university student goes through in maybe 10 minutes. Right or not? Okay? Right.
All right, so I'll try to make it relevant.
Thank you.
Not going to give a whole lecture here on karst. But anyway, just a quick introduction, yeah? So if you know caves, the fundamental thing about caves is caves are formed by dissolution of water. All right, so what you see on the dry caves is the action of water for millions of years. All right, so now they stay dry. So they're open for us to explore, to enjoy, right? But before you have the dry cave, the cave fundamentally started as fractures or tiny holes, yeah, filled with water, all right? And when they are underwater, there are no formations of the decorations of caves, for example, stalagmites, stalactites, the curtains. You don't have that when it's underwater. You only have that when it's dry. So I talked to Shiraz. I asked Shiraz, for those caves that you have been, you have dived in, are there any stalagmites? Why? Because I want to know if the passage was dry before, because this is part of my study. So I want to know if the water table was way below years ago. So if it submerged the cave, is it just happened a few years ago after the cease of the mining, or was it happened thousands of years ago? All right. So these are the questions that I wish to ask the divers. All right. And in certain areas, very important cave art, for example, Paleolithic cave art in France. The cave was submerged because of rising sea level. So they found the caves. Who actually found it? The divers. The divers found it, and they brought in the scientists, and they figured out the cave was accessible 27,000 years ago for the prehistoric humans to settle there. And now the rising water level has sort of submerged the way up, but the chambers are still dry. So basically the art is still there, and still preserved if the water level doesn't go any higher lah, right? And for Kinta Valley, I keep mentioning Kinta Valley because Kinta Valley is my playground. So I love to see the history. So the submerge, is it due to the human activities, human disturbance, or is it related to the climate change or increase of water table due to the rising sea level that happened probably, like I mentioned earlier, 120,000 years ago. So I talk about this due to my knowledge, yeah, on the climate cycles, right? So all this evidence can be found in caves, and really, cave divers really plays a big role here.
Thank you, Dr. Rose. By the way, I couldn't answer Dr. Rose's question on what Mud Surat looked like because I've never dived Mud Surat, and I've not gone down there. I had to call Mr. Lee Kian Lee to answer that question, right? And he could describe it, and Eric's another one who could describe Mud Surat. I like Eric to actually share his experiences when he dived Mud Surat, and there was a line situation when they were returning back. That's a pretty interesting, harrowing experience, right? That is related to the feature of the cave, right? Eric?
Okay. That time, the dive is in Masurat. So I'm the second. The first one is Lee. So Lee will put the line, go through the restriction. So actually the cave, the restriction is like this. This side is a big hole, so man can go in, but you need some energy to pull yourself to pass through. This one is a big, and connected with the small one. The small one, definitely you cannot pass through. So we pull the line on left hand side, we're going in. Actually, in Masurat Cave, you even cannot find any place to tie off, to make a tie off of your line. So what I can say is sometimes if we can find some structure or some rocks, then we will get a tie off space. But normally we cannot find any tie off space. So the line is from the left hand side. So I'm the second man. So normally in second man you cannot see the view. You cannot even know the hole is how to look like. I just zero visibility and keep following the line and following the fin in front of me. This is what I can see. Only fin, line, and sediment. So after we pass through the restriction, so we search inside. They have some water flow up inside the down there. So after we done the dive, we start to coming back. So when I'm going in, I'm the second man. So come out, I'm the first one. So because I don't know how the restriction look like, I only know that is a hole. You need to pull yourself a bit hard to pull yourself to pass through the restriction. So when I'm coming out, because when we going in, the line on left hand side is a big hole connect to the small hole. So, but after we going in, so we turn right hand side. So the line following to stuck on the small area. So when we coming out, so means the small area is on your left hand side, right? And the right hand side is the big hole. So I try to squeeze myself to going in. Even my helmet also cannot pass through. I said, impossible. So I start to dig the mark. Maybe. I start to dig a mark. Impossible. Wouldn't have small. I tried the second times. Even the helmet also cannot pass through. So I start to think. This is how the mindset, when we're doing the exploration, you really, any happen, you need to stop and think and try to think back how when you're going in, the roughy idea, turn left, turn right, and the depth. So I start thinking, I'm not even pass through a hole, it's small like that. So, but the line is on there. The hole is smaller like this, but the line is stick on the left hand side. So I feeling wait, cannot be. So I start to use my right hand to touch the entire hole until in 2 meters away, there's connect the big hole there. So means the line from the right hand side, they straight away to the small hole. So that time when I find a big hole, so I pull my body behind me, and because the line is tension, right? It's on tension, so I cannot simply pull the line to the side. So I pull my body together to swing on the right hand side and pass through that one. But in this case, if some people they don't think details inside when you're going in, you try to pull yourself very hard. Maybe you will get stuck. Your helmet there, maybe your helmet is pass through, but your shoulder cannot pass through. So we create another issue because that time is zero risk at all. This is what our mindset and our method thinking, everything. You need to calm down, don't be nervous, don't be panic. Actually, cave diving is, for me, is not that danger as people saying, but panic or you feel nervous, anything, you make yourself in trouble. Yeah.
Thank you, Eric. Right. Okay. We have time for questions from the floor, right? Feel free to ask any question, right, to the group of panelists over here. If there are no questions, then you could actually drop by the booth at B31 and have a chat with the various members of MCDA, and also you could ask and meet up with Tuan Juliana and Dr. Rose as well, right? And I'd like to close this session, right? And thank you for being present, and also thanking the panelists for their valuable time. Yeah, and remember, the only thing certain about the cars is uncertainty, right? So explore the unexplored, but know your limits. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Right.
All right, once again, a very big thank you to you all the panelists. And well, for more info, you have to proceed towards the respective booth.